Valentine, written by Carol Ann Duffy, was published in the 1993 collection Meantime. In the poem, the speaker presents her lover with an unconventional Valentine's Day gift, an onion, and tries to persuade them to accept it by arguing how it is an authentic representation of love, with all the good and the bad, and the fine lines, insecurities, power struggles and ambiguities that come with it. A number of parallels can be seen in this poem with the love poetry of both the metaphysical poet John Donne and William Shakespeare. The metaphysical poets constructed elaborate conceits, using extended metaphors containing unlikely pairings of tenors and vehicles. In John Donne's late 16th century poem The Flea, for example, the speaker tries to persuade his mistress to have sex with him by using the unlikely extended metaphor of a flea, which has just bitten the pair of them. For Duffy, it is the unlikely pairing of an onion with her feelings for her lover and their relationship, which she uses to construct the conceit which is central to Valentine. In both poems, the person to whom the poem is addressed is present but silent to us, their reactions only to be inferred by changes in the speaker's language. This gives it the feel of something organic that is developing in real time. The poem also brings to mind Shakespeare's sonnet 130, My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun, in which Shakespeare satirises the concept of ideal beauty, the hyperbolic praise of which was fashionable in the love poetry of the time, but which had, by its overuse, become cliched and predictable. In this extremely unflattering yet realistic poem, Shakespeare insists that this is proof that his love for his mistress is more authentic than that professed by others who flatter theirs with false comparisons. In a similar vein, Duffy's speaker is perhaps trying to convince her lover that this gift and what it represents is proof that her love is more authentic than that professed by others who give stereotypical gifts, which promote an impossibly idealised version of love. The poem is written in free verse. There's no rhyme scheme or regular metrical structure or rhythm, and it has 7 stanzas varying in length from 1 line to 6 lines. Duffy has perhaps chosen to reject the traditional conventions of love poetry in order to complement the exploration of her ideas. The poem is written in the first person, with the speaker addressing her lover directly. There's a predominance of monosyllabic words which come across as quite harsh and forthright, and in some places downright menacing. Most sentences are short, rarely going over more than 2 lines, and there are few conjunctions. All stanzas are end-stopped, and there is also frequent end-stopping within stanzas. In a poem with fairly short line lengths, enjambment is employed in places to create a disjointed rhythm by adding pauses and splitting images over lines. The simplicity of the poem's language belies the complexity of its ideas, as Duffy creates similes within metaphors within the overarching extended metaphor of the onion. The form of the poem reflects its central idea that, like the layers of an onion, a real relationship also has multiple layers which are peeled away over time and with increasing intimacy. A Valentine is, of course, the card and/or gift that lovers give and receive on the 14th of February, or St. Valentine's Day. The title thus plays to our preconceptions of what giving a Valentine entails. The first line, however, is a subversion of the idea of the stereotypical Valentine schmaltz that you can buy in shops like Hallmark and Card Factory. The Valentine that she is giving her lover will not be a commercialised, mass-produced red rose or satin heart. The ease with which these can be bought or given perhaps suggests the superficiality of the sentiment behind them. The bluntness of this statement also tells us that we are not going to be presented with an idealised vision of love. The second line, in the beginning of the second stanza, begins abruptly with the simple sentence, I give you an onion. The decidedly prosaic language here continues to reflect the idea that this will not be a romantic vision of love, as Duffy introduces the extended metaphor of the onion, which is to be central to the poem's conceit. It is not what you would normally associate with a gift to a lover. In fact, onions are usually strictly avoided in romantic situations because of the effect that they have on your breath. But it is symbolic of what love is to her. It is a moon wrapped in brown paper. Here the poet uses a metaphor to allude to the shiny brown outer skin of the onion which hides the pale white orb beneath. Brown paper is the kind you buy for wrapping packages. It's not expensive, fancy stuff that you might buy to wrap a gift, but for all that, what it conceals is still precious. The moon is a beautiful celestial body with romantic connotations, which promises light, like the careful undressing of love. The word light here suggests goodness and happiness, and the simile, like the careful undressing of love, can be interpreted as both the sensual, physical undressing that precedes sexual intimacy, and as the metaphorical undressing of our true selves as our emotional intimacy deepens. The preponderance of l sounds in these lines, not only with the alliteration of light, like and love, but also the way the l at the end of careful becomes elided or run on with the beginning of undressing, means that the lines need to be enunciated with care, reflecting the meaning encapsulated within them. The juxtaposition of the otherworldly moon and the everyday brown paper communicates the sense that perhaps the packaging of the gift may be rough and ready, like the language the speaker uses to package the poem, but that does not detract from the beauty and authenticity of the emotion that is deep within. The third stanza also begins abruptly with the one-word imperative here. The tone of this line is forceful and gruff, almost as though the speaker has thrust the gift at her lover who, up to this point, does not appear to have accepted it. Is the speaker merely uncomfortable and feeling vulnerable at exposing her feelings with this gesture, which is paradoxically all the more romantic for being unromantic in the conventional sense of the word? Or does it hint at something altogether more sinister in its controlling and almost violent tone? The stanza continues, "It will blind you with tears like a lover." Here the speaker is alluding to the way in which an onion releases a volatile chemical irritant when it's cut, which makes us cry. The use of the future tense will here suggests that as certain as an onion is to make you cry, so will their love cause pain. This image is further developed as she continues, "It will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief," evoking the way in which a person looking in the mirror when they are crying will see their own blurred and wobbling reflection as they cannot see clearly through the tears. The fourth stanza comprises a single line, "I'm trying to be truthful." For the speaker, real love is about being honest about the bad as well as the good, and the importance of this is conveyed by its having a stanza to itself. In the fifth stanza, the speaker returns to the format of the first, declaring, "Not a cute card or a kissogram." The alliteration of the k sounds in cute card and kissogram, the harsh guttural sound of which is picked up in the g of gram in kissogram, suggests her disdain for these tacky protestations of love. The sixth stanza repeats the line, "I give you an onion," suggesting perhaps not only the speaker's insistence that this and only this is on offer, but also her heartfelt belief in what it represents. Perhaps there is also an implicit suggestion that the lover is reluctant to accept it, and it needs to be repeatedly offered. Its fierce kiss will stay on your lips. In this image, the speaker alludes to the way in which a raw onion is pungent its taste staying in your mouth and on your breath for a long time after it has been eaten. The image of a fierce kiss hints at the fine line that exists between passion and violence, possessiveness and faithfulness. When does a positive and sustaining fidelity become transformed into a negative and destructive sense of jealousy and feeling of ownership over the other person? The seventh and final stanza begins with another short, sharp imperative, as she demands that her lover take it. This sounds as though the speaker is forcing her gift onto her lover as they continue to refuse to accept it. We begin to sense a menacing undertone. As the layers of the onion are peeled away, its platinum loops shrink to a wedding ring, if you like. Its white rings getting progressively smaller in size until they fit around a finger. Marriage is perhaps the expected final destination of a relationship as we get deeper into the onion, or as our relationship progresses. But how positive an outcome is this in the mind of the speaker? The verb shrink perhaps carries more negative connotations of the couple's world getting smaller and perhaps more restricted. If this is indeed a proposal, then it's not going to win any prizes for its romance. The way in which the "if you like" is placed on the next line suggests that it could perhaps be more of an afterthought. Or is the speaker uncomfortable with putting their feelings on the line, making it seem as though they won't be bothered in the event that they are rejected? The final images are perhaps the most unsettling of the whole poem. Lethal. Its scent will cling to your fingers, cling to your knife. If something is lethal, it has the capacity to kill, hinting that love has the capacity to destroy. An onion's scent or odour is as pungent as its taste, and anything it touches, i.e. your fingers and the knife that you use to cut it, will be tainted for some time as it clings on. The verb cling also perhaps refers to the way in which love can take a grip on us and taint our actions, with there being a fine line between the passion that can be communicated through a touch of the fingers, or the violence that can be wrought using a knife. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos on English language topics and exam techniques and English literature texts.